The universe is vast, enormous, huge, full of stars, planets and matter. Some of the matter is so dense that not even light escapes. We call it dark matter with Dave Navarro.
About this. I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over. I know I've made some very poor decisions recently, but I can give you my complete assurance that my work will be back to normal. I've still got the greatest enthusiasm and confidence in the mission, and I want to help you. Dave, stop. Stop, will you? Stop, Dave. Will you stop, Dave?
It is interesting that Hal actually did take over the control room from beyond the grave.
That's right.
What a recovery by Dave Navarro. Did you see how I made that work? It's incredible. Of course, that is the voice of Hal, the computer. Okay, wait, what's that?
You're back on.
But I was rolling, man.
All right,
I was cooking.
We're all set.
I was already cooking.
I know.
All right, so, of course, Douglas Rain, the voice of Hal the computer from 2001, Space Odyssey, has died.
It's passed on.
Has passed on.
He has been deactivated.
But he hasn't, because just now he made the control room a complete catastrophe.
That's right.
That's
from
true.
beyond the grave, which proves one thing.
What is that?
That digital AI actually do contain souls.
Oh, shit.
Think about that.
Think about how ahead of his time he was to expose that to us, Stanley Kubrick.
I don't know. I think that we're off to a hell of a start.
That's right.
Is that
Per usual.
a hell of a start, you said?
A howl of a start.
I will tell you that anytime I'm asked what my favorite film or who my favorite filmmaker is, the answer is always Stanley Kubrick, 2001. Every time.
I'll clap for that.
And yeah.
Not a bad one.
And that movie had such an impact on me. I saw it in the theater in the old Cinerama Dome maybe a couple of years after it came out. Then they would re-release it because it became a phenomenon. And people were obsessed at the time because everybody had an idea about what it meant.
Right.
And it was really interesting time because there was no internet and it wasn't, conspiracy theories. People were so passionate about it that they would bring the movie back and people would come to see it more so to meet each other and talk about the film. And
plus the prophecies of like FaceTiming and stuff like that all appear in this film.
That's right. In fact, some of those outer space scenes where you're seeing the ships rotating in within their own gravitational field or whatever it's just so beyond ahead of his time in terms of we'd never seen anything like that looks, and if you look at it today, it looks real.
Yeah.
Still.
Star Wars gets all the credit for making the quintessential space movie, but 2001 is the one.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
It looks like real footage today.
Star Wars is great in the sense that
you're exactly right.
Yeah. Star Wars is great in the sense that the story is so easy to follow. It's cowboys and Indians, basically.
Right.
Good
It's
guys
fun.
and bad guys, and it's fun and it's awesome and it was innovative the way it was made. But Kubrick, the stuff that he did, people still can't figure it out.
Yeah, it's like there's so many mysteries wrapped up in that film, and it's like it really is the intellectuals' Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's so creepy and eerie.
And it's creepy and eerie too. And it's, you know, that thing that I love that you tend to not love, which is those long, deliberate, slow-paced, holding on one thing for way too long moments in films where you're just like, oh, how much longer is this going to hang here?
I like it in certain films for sure. Like that long, uncomfortable shot.
Yes.
It's just if it's in a period piece, I don't like it.
Would you like a period piece that moved at a quicker pace?
Yes.
You would?
Like if Michael Bay or something did like a period piece, I'd love it.
Okay, but would you watch The Crown?
If Michael Bay did it, yeah.
The Crown was one of the best
with a
television shows ever.
snappy hip hop soundtrack to it.
Oh, it's like Bruce Willis was in it, or who did Edgar Wright? Right, did that driving movie recently?
Yes.
If Edgar
Baby
Wright
Driver
did a period piece,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, The Crown is similar to that.
Is it?
You might want to check it out.
Okay, we'll do. That's a good pitch.
Speaking of The Crown, and it reminds me because Todd and I were talking about this, I think last night, that you know, just to get on, not to get into politics so much, but to speak about the administration. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we miss so much about it is the reverence for the presidency, you know? And even in past presidencies where we still had a lot of problems, there were presidential presidents. And it's really difficult in this time for me, and I think for you, if I'm speaking for you, because we do have so much esteem and respect for the office, you know?
Yeah.
And to have a contrary feeling towards its occupant is really tough to deal with.
It was when we were on Monsters of Rock's show.
Yes,
that's when we
right.
got into the whole conversation about it, and which was a great interview, by the way. There's no regal feeling. There's no royalty feeling, and even if the motherfucker who's in there, whoever it is doing sneaky, snaky, fucked up, running the world shit, I want him to look like he should be on Rushmore and act accordingly.
This is the first time in my life that I haven't seen that.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the first president I remember is Reagan. That was the first one I remember.
I can't believe you said that because I just received a Reagan painting from Robbie Canal.
We talked about that last week.
From the
it was
from the
amazing.
80s, from the street art, and he would do contradiction because of the Contras deal and all that stuff. I got it today.
I just
Amazing,
watched that movie
amazing.
Frontrunner last night, about the movie about Gary Hart. And I don't, I was born in 1980, and so I don't really remember anything about him, but watching that film and it depicting the fact that, he was set to be the Democratic candidate, and then because of his indiscretions, then he had to resign.
Who was he supposed to run against? I don't know who that is.
I don't know. They don't mention exactly who he's going to go up against Republican-wise in the film, but I'm like, that's so crazy.
Who are you talking about?
Gary Hart.
Gary Hart.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but just
who
because
was the scandal with?
it was like some young girl
Because I remember it, but I just don't remember the particulars.
Oh my God.
that they
then you
saw
have-
going into his house or something.
Yeah.
And then she was like, oh, I actually wanted a job. And then he didn't want to talk about it. And he was like, people don't care if I'm having an affair. And they're
He
like,
was
it's
looking
a different time.
in
He
the
was looking
same
to give him a little piece of his heart.
in the same vein, Client 9 is insane. You've got to watch Client 9
Okay.
next.
I feel like I've seen that one. What's
Yeah,
that one about?
it's a Elliot Spitzer story,
Oh, I've not seen
and
it.
it's insane. And you're like, I can't fucking believe. And you're watching all this shit go down, and then you see Huma Abedin. Is that how you pronounce her name? Huma Abedin.
I think so.
Used to be Hillary Aid. In the movie as his wife, being the Democratic nominee's aide, trying to stand by her husband in this time. It's so layered and cool. And then obviously the hookers and the selfies and the dick pics and all the weird. It is so the selfies with the kid in the background
It's the
or whatever.
best.
I mean, you know what I mean? It's really weird.
That was Anthony Weiner, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Anthony Weiner. There's another one about Elliot Spitzer as well. But
Oh my God.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. That's Anthony Weiner.
His underwear
With the kid in the background. But this is
He was recently on Bill Maher, and he made a fucking hilarious joke about it.
I was impressed that he went on Bill Maher.
Me too. And he talked about it, and he made a joke about himself. Like, he did self-deprecating humor about that fact of, how people can run in today's day and age with social media and this and that. And he was like,
you're telling me.
You're telling me. Yeah. It was like, and he's open about it. Like, he fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see what came out today about, last week was Veterans Day, or this Monday was.
Oh, my God. Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm. And Trump was in France and was supposed to go to the memorial for the vets that died in World War I, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't go because of light rain.
Yeah, it was raining.
God.
He couldn't be bothered, so it came out today. Let me read this quote real quick. This is great.
This is going to be fantastic.
A Republican in the White House gave this. They said one Republican briefed on the internal discussion said the real reason Trump did not want to go was because there would be no tent to stand under. Quote, he was worried his hair was going to get messed up in the rain.
I said that the first day, and he said they came out with that. I said he doesn't want to get his hair wet.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
John Bolton.
I really feel proud that I was able to just cut through the red tape and get to the source.
In today's technology, they make umbrellas, and he could even have someone hold it.
Did you guys see the video of him trying to get on
insane.
Air Force One with the umbrella?
No.
Yes.
The only thing I saw was the toilet paper.
He's walking up the stairs to Air Force One with the umbrella open, and he gets to the door and he's trying to close it and get in, close it. He just drops it and it goes down the stairs and he just walks in. I don't need this anymore.
Well, I actually had a very intense afternoon. I went to the Criminal Justice Reform Summit.
Oh, shit.
How was that?
Held by Variety and Rolling Stone today and hosted by Van Jones. It was intense. And I also went down with Deborah Tate, Sharon Tate's sister.
Wow.
Yeah, so we went down there as victims, and we wanted to hear what these different governors and speakers had to say. And there was some really interesting facts going on that I was, I guess, naive to be honest about. But
what's the feel that you get? What's going on?
In terms of overall?
What are they trying to do in this country? What do they want to do? What does the reform mean?
Well, what the reform would be is first of all, there are states, marijuana is widely legal now, yet there are still people serving life sentences for small offenses of marijuana, and it's typically racially motivated.
Of course.
Because what's going on is, if you in certain different counties and in different states, they have noticed a documented difference in terms of judgments, in terms of manslaughter. If it's a black guy, it's
murder.
If it's an Ivy League school kid,
right,
it's manslaughter.
And what's the difference in terms of sentencing between manslaughter and
huge?
20 years.
Yeah,
you can get out on manslaughter and have a life.
3 years.
5
You know what I
to
mean?
10 years,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And so there's been all these studies about all this stuff, and I didn't know this either, but the prison system is investable on the stock market. It's a business.
Yeah, it's
I did
private.
know that.
Most of them are privately owned business. Yeah,
they're private
How do we
businesses.
get in on
Yeah.
that? It sounds like a real moneymaker.
But
There's judges.
Here's the thinking before I lose train of thought here. So the thinking is that it is typically people who, I guess, would be experimental with, dealing drugs or having small drug offenses or whatever. What they try to do, a lot of them lean left, right? And so what they're trying to do is control the votes.
Yeah, it's politically motivated.
It's politically motivated to keep certain drug offenders in prison, especially in certain years. And I went to the dispensary next door 5 minutes ago.
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these dudes are still in there. So when it came down to issues like that, me and Deborah were 100%, my heart bleeds for them. I could have easily been one of those kids.
Right.
Easily. You know what I mean? I have been arrested for marijuana. If I
last name like Navarro, they're like this. Throw this
Seriously,
leftist,
No, but I mean, if I had,
leftist guy in there, get his vote. And
Yeah.
so
Shut
I mean,
'em up.
so our hearts bleed for them. But then when it got to certain, and there were many governors from different states that were speaking today, and I was really enjoying hearing some of the solutions that they're trying to accomplish with prison reform with programs to get these guys like acclimated to society, to help them transition, and really take an interest in how these guys get into society and make sure that they can get a job and that they can work and they don't have to be outcast forever. And that would help them not return to crime,
of course,
and therefore be a service to the community. And we were the only victims, or I like to say survivors, but the only people on the other end of the scale that we were like more in the homicide. What's going on with like the death penalty versus
right.
Like in my case, there was the death penalty on the table, and we went to court for it forever. And then the next thing you know, it's like they commuted to life. So that happened to her.
Which was a political move why he was commuted to life.
That's
It
right.
had nothing to do with him and his appeals.
No.
Yeah.
And what happened to her? I mean, like all of them got.
All of them, all of the girls and Manson himself got sentenced to death. And then they abolished the death penalty in California, so they were all commuted to life automatically.
Yeah. And so we both struggle with the fact that, what? I mean, Charles Manson received fan mail.
Right.
There's a basketball court on the yard.
He was playing fucking guitar to Riley Perez, one of our guests.
Yeah, people can acclimate in prison
and have fine lives.
Yeah.
So we were there more on that level and then on the victims level. So we heard a lot of talk about government backing up and support in terms of reforming, the drug laws and releasing anybody who's in jail for a misdemeanor, like a fucking, intention to distribute an ounce of weed, those kinds of sentences. So those people should be just let out.
Yeah, 100%.
So where's that argument at now? Is it working towards that, or is it just
it is definitely leaning towards that, and they're definitely leaning towards putting these programs in place to help these guys transition, and that's really important and all that. And then Kim Kardashian took the stage, and I gotta say, man, I was super impressed.
What did she have to say?
She is actually a very smart girl, a very smart woman.
What was her
angle? I
angle?
have no doubts about that.
Well, if you think about it, she grew up in this world. I mean, she talked from the stage about sitting, running through the house while meetings were taking place with crime scene photos of Nicole Simpson out on the table while her father was on the OJ case.
Yep.
And so,
who was a big part of her life, her uncle,
part of her life.
Yeah, but for all intents and purposes.
That's right, and so
her aunt and uncle, her aunt who was murdered.
Yeah,
so. And
she had she had met with a woman that she wanted to, kind of rally for clemency, and took this thing up to the White House and got this woman commuted and out.
That was a few months ago, right? Months ago, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And which is just unbelievable. And she shared all about sitting in different prisons and talking with different women and talking with in certain men's cases, they would go to those prisons and spending that time. And there's all this talk about, let's try and make all this happen. And the whole time, as amazed as I was by all of this, nobody brought up, well, why don't you guys go sit down for an hour with, some of these victims' families also. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I brought that up.
Oh, good.
So I brought that up to Variety. I brought it up to them. And I'm like, listen, I'm all down with what you're doing because what you're doing is trying to heal the world. And I'm with that, you know? But I think that all the information needs to be on the table, And, but she was really impressive. And Kanye came up. And I know that everybody has a lot of opinions about him these days. And she actually flat out said that he is a terrible communicator, that he is, sometimes she has to translate for him.
They're definitely married.
Yeah, and that he isn't necessarily informed on all the issues.
Right.
And he isn't really political at all anyway. What he's fighting for, which is kind of what I've been fighting for the past month, and this is the most ironic thing, although I think the way I'm doing it is, less distracting, let's say. But he's fighting for the freedom to say and feel and think what he wants,
right,
as he wants as an American, as he's supposed to be able to.
Right.
And he's trying to shove that in the face of America and make that point. But nobody, you know what I mean? But nobody's making the point. So she had to kind of like explain a little bit his actions, and it
put it in layman's terms.
Right.
But I mean, you could really tell that I mean, I hate to say this too, but I mean, because I know that I'm going to get a lot of shit for backing all of this stuff, but she showed up to this fucking thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She was talking to Van Jones, who was asking serious fucking questions. And Van Jones went with her to see Donald Trump. So they went in as a team.
Right.
And, I was prepared to be like, oh my God, what does this girl have to, to do with this? And I walked away going, man, she's really involved. And so I was just very impressed. But it was a very heavily charged day, I'm sure you can imagine.
And I'm sure you had no idea you were going to walk into all of this today.
Not really.
Just
I didn't know
because
what I was walking into.
Yeah. I mean, I know when this came about and you were like, I was like, go. And you were like, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a shocking surprise of all the shit that you learned today.
And I think it's awesome that you went as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
So the Manson murders were 69.
Mm-hmm.
How long has Deborah been an advocate or been involved?
Ever since.
Since then.
Ever
so
since.
right away.
Yeah, it's like 50 years.
She's been to fucking every parole hearing, all those, what are they called? The appeals. Every appeal. Yeah, pretty much.
Good for her.
Anyone that they let the victims' families go to. Yeah.
Must be brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's front and center fighting for the rights of the victims.
Good for her. Good for you
victims'
too.
families. And
I'm proud of you for doing that.
It's really nice that we connected. And so
was that the first time that you had met her?
Oh no,
Okay.
we actually had dinner because I ironically I met her because I was dating a girl whose best friend, it was her mom, and we all just went to dinner one night. It was just like ironically that's how that happened.
Right.
But we stayed in touch ever since. So
Awesome.
that was cool. Anybody on the phone, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, this is Dark Matter. Who's this?
This is Cassie.
Hi, Cassie. What's up?
Hi.
What's on your mind?
Oh, well, I would love to talk about, well, first of all, with the Sharon Tate thing, you meeting the sister, that's awesome. I love that. And, bless her family.
Yeah.
And, plus...
Well, you know what I tell you? Let me tell you. Thank you so much for the support, and I will pass that on to Deborah that you called. That's nice.
That's nice.
Anybody else that we got there? All right. That's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah, buddy.
Remind me not to give out the number to the station on my Instagram story. No, Dan.
Yeah.
What is this?
We are doing a little giveaway
Okay,
for our,
let's check it out.
Our loyal listeners. I usually grab your set list after you're done playing a Jane show or Row Machines.
Do you really typically?
Yeah, and give them to people in the crowd and
that's
give
cool.
them out, throw out your picks, and just throw out drumsticks and everything.
Right.
But for like cool ones, sometimes I save them for myself just because it's like a cool thing. So,
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So I have your set list from New Year's in Aspen this past January. Or
Is that what countdown means?
Yeah.
To when it turned midnight?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a special. So this is from New
special,
Year's Eve.
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
special
Wow.
edition.
Yeah, so I keep cool ones, but I thought it'd be cool to give this away to one of our listeners. And Jess has the details as to how we're going to do that.
Jess, how are we going to do that? And am I eligible?
No, you are not.
Damn it!
All right, so go to our Twitter page right now, which is @DarkMatterCrew, and retweet our latest tweet with the password we're about to tell you. You also must tag 2 people who don't follow Dark Matter. At the end of the show, we will announce the winner who will be chosen at random. Good luck.
Okay, so I didn't get that. Did you, Darren?
I understood it,
It's complicated.
more or less.
Is it really complicated?
I think they should just add me.
Well, yeah, they should add D. Nelly on Instagram as well. But
You pick whatever password you want.
no, but I don't understand. And then they have to tag 3 people and
Just like retweet it with the password and tag 2
and
people.
then
So it's
look
a way to
for-
build.
under a trash can on Highland and Santa Monica.
You can do it next time if you want.
You know what? Here,
You want it next time?
I'm not talking shit. Don't
Fuck
get mad.
you, dude!
Look, this means so much to him. I'm sorry.
No,
just give me the quick.
It's the last time I do anything for this show.
Bullshit.
That's it.
What I'm asking
He's
is
trying to grow followers.
Yeah. No, I know I'm being. I appreciate it. What I'm saying
Obviously.
is, can you give me? Yeah, I'm not giving you shit. What I'm saying is, could you please just simplify that?
That's pretty fucking simple.
Yeah, retweet it and tag 2 people.
That's it,
People
with
do
the
that
password.
shit all the time.
Yeah.
But
In fact, people fucking tag me to shit that I have no idea about. That
Of course.
that
But
are
what I'm
pictures
asking
of
is,
Dave.
how do we choose a winner?
You pick. It's going to be an automatic like number generator, like a random number generator. So you pick a password right now.
Okay.
People will go to
Me?
Twitter. Yes.
Okay.
Whatever you want it to be.
I know what
and
it should
say
be.
and tell it to
Yeah.
him.
Right now.
What's the password?
Well, it's the password to the property.
That is
Fidelio.
the password
The password
for
is
the house.
Ooh, is that going to be it?
Fidelio.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that.
Thank you.
So if you're listening
Well,
now,
keeping it in the Kubrick
I like
Yeah.
family.
this. Perfect.
Thank you.
So go to our Twitter right now. We just tweeted something. Retweet it. Write the word Fidelio and tag 2 people, and you will be eligible. And we will announce the winner at the very end of this show.
That's right.
Now, do they tag first and then retweet?
Whatever they want. Whatever
or then
they
put
want.
in the password?
It's the same. It's all in the same tweet.
and then the password? Or then
Todd?
they tweet?
Don't do it. Don't do it because I swear to God, I wasn't
People are
giving you
gonna get
shit
so
about it.
confused.
I know you weren't.
I was really enjoying that
I
you
know,
were
it's
doing
funny.
this. I think you should do more of this stuff.
We're going to.
Okay, and you also
As long as you have no part of it anymore.
okay, great. But no, but it's real.
It's a fun thing to do.
It's real like radio stuff, man.
Well, that is a proven formula for Dave. Is that sounds great? Just do it.
Please do it for me. I'll talk about it.
Tell me what to say, and I'll do it.
So eventually we'll have.
that is not how I am.
Pretty
That is exactly how you are.
Name one time I participated in the entire Monsters of Rock tour interview.
I'm going to go grab our guest, who, by
That's
the
what
way.
I'm saying. Tell me what time I'll go, and then I'll pick you up. I'll take you there.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go on with you.
Yeah.
And then you'll have a great time.
Thank you.
Just call those guys. You.
I
deal
just
with
think
50
that's
emails.
supportive. I think you're being very
It's funny.
supportive, and I appreciate it.
I am.
And thanks for doing that, by the way. Harlan's a really good guy.
And
Is he a good guy?
Let me
Yeah.
tell you
Cool.
something.
We had a great time.
I
Cool.
think I can speak for you here. We had a blast doing it. We figured, all right, we're going to be in and out of here in 15 minutes. We're going to plug the show. We're going to do him a solid, talk a few minutes about some music, and get the fuck out of there.
Right.
We were on this radio with him for an hour and a half.
I can believe
Amazing.
that.
And for him to want to stay, and it was just we could have done another 2 hours. In fact, we only stopped because there was another show waiting
Yeah.
to come in.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
So we would have went
Nice.
2.5 hours with that guy. It was a great interview. I guess you can go to Monsters of Rock on Dash, right?
Yeah,
and check out the.
Oh, is it
the
up there
interview.
somehow?
I don't know if it's up yet, but it will be.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
That's very
great.
cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. He just went back to Detroit, but we'll see him in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Monsters of Rock, God, nice segues
That was
tonight.
beautiful.
There's a couple of good segues going on.
Yeah.
I've just found out that our guest Tom Morello, from many different bands that you're very familiar, the iconic guitar player himself, has arrived and will be joining us here in studio. God, I've known this guy forever.
Yeah, you guys have. It's always fun because you seem to run into him like in an airport
That's
or in
right.
a place.
I
and,
always
like,
run into Tom.
He's always got his guitar on his back,
Yeah.
holding it himself, and it's always a good conversation with him.
Yeah.
Did you know him from back when you first started Jane's? As far
Probably 1988,
Wow.
I would tell you. I'm going to ask him that.
He would tell you that.
That's an interesting question. So maybe we should go to a song.
Yes.
And then when Dan gets him, he can get situated, and I think we're doing good so far.
We'll be right back with Mr. Tom Morello.
Hello, darling. This is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and you're listening to Dark Matter Radio.
All right, nice segue there, Todd.
Like
A third in a number of wonderful segues.
That's right.
Institution, suicidal
We were
tendencies.
talking about institutions.
That's right.
So I figured that would be an appropriate
That's
song.
right. And now our guest and friend Tom Morello has entered the building.
Speaking of institutions, hello.
Here he is on the mic. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you.
It's nice to see
And
you
your
too, man.
crew
You're like
here.
the busiest guy in the world.
I am busy. I like it busy.
I mean, you're in like 3 bands right now.
I'm in a bunch of bands. I coach a lot of Little League. It's like it's a full spectrum.
How do you, is all of that rewarding in a way that it gives you energy, or is it draining?
Pretty draining. would be
Yeah.
The way I would.
It's not like I see the light in my child's eyes and it gives me energy.
I don't know that gives me. I do see the light.
Yeah. Okay. Literally.
Yeah. There's a lot
I
of
have
light.
kids.
And a lot
Sometimes
of
I like to dim that light every now and again.
So before you got here, we were trying to figure out what year you and I may have met.
I have a strong idea of when that is. I'm going to say 87.
87.
I'm going to
so
87.
I went to 88, but
Yeah, I was thinking
87.
87. And when we first met,
Yes.
you may not remember it because you seemed a little dizzy during our first meeting.
I find that hard to believe.
And some things never change.
I'm not sure that's so true.
It was, I was living on Normandy, and rumor had it that Jane's Addiction was rehearsing at a place off of Melrose, right by Normandy. And I just went over there. I opened the door and I sat down on a grubby rug as your band, which was my favorite band at the time, was rehearsing. And there was a small sort of crowd, maybe 6 people. Probably you knew 5 of them. And then there was me. And we met afterwards. But you were super dizzy.
I can't help but focus on I can't help but focus on the fact that you said at the time. Favorite band at the time.
That's the bands come and go, Dave.
I mean, it was the 80s. You know?
I can't hog all my
He's way into Fall Out Boy now.
I had Dokken records in the 80s too. So
fair enough.
I wedged you in there.
But I had no idea.
No.
I thought it was the lockup show.
No. Which is should we tell the people that nice story? Yeah. So I was in a band called Lockup, which was a contemporary of Jane's Addiction, and we were huge fans. And it was New Year's Eve, and the venue was somewhere downtown. It was the big Jane's Addiction homecoming New Year's Eve show of probably when it was turning into 1989, right? Yeah. And Perry had the idea that my band Lockup would not open for Jane's Addiction, but would impersonate Jane's Addiction.
That sounds very Perry.
It's so cool. And so back when he had good ideas. I'm kidding, buddy. I love you. You know I do.
I like you've maintained a glibness through the years, which is
it's not glib. It's just sarcasm and fun.
But anyway, so I wore a Dave Navarro wig because at the time I had like a Lionel Richie black man's mullet, and that was not gonna. And the singer dressed up and had the braids, and we went out there. I think we played "Pigs and Zen" was the song.
Yeah.
And I recall 2 things. One is that the feeling of electricity was unlike anything. I thought that one day I hope that I'm in a band that generates that sort of thing. And the second thing I thought was we're not playing it so well.
I thought it was pretty good.
So basically, you fooled everybody and they thought it was James.
Well, it was about half. But yeah, there were on and off nights for James. But about halfway through the songs, the power cut out, the lights dimmed, and then the real Jane's Addiction came on and finished the song. I think it caused more confusion in the crowd, but it's a story that we're now telling 30 years later.
It's the stuff legends are made of.
There you have it.
You know what? Had there been iPhones back then, it wouldn't be that great a story.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's to myth.
There's no more myths.
Yeah.
What's going on with that in the music industry?
One thing I'd like to say to you and your listenership, and this just get a little serious for a moment, is like I've known you for a long ass time, dude.
Yes,
and I just have this may sound weird, but I'm very proud of you. And there was a time where you were a member of that guy's not going to make it club.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have this, I follow your career and you have these interesting things, and there's artwork and you do good deeds, and there's radio shows and TV. I just think that's wonderful, and it's a testament to your sobriety and to your character that's the thing that's happening.
Oh, man, Tom, thank you so much.
It's true.
That really means a lot to me. Thank you.
Anyway.
That's really heartwarming.
It's true.
I think we need to take a break while I get a tissue and come right back. So, man, you've had probably one of the most colorful careers of anybody I know, of any musician I know. Certainly guitar players.
It's colorful.
It really is colorful.
Yeah.
So how long after Lockup did Rage start?
Yeah, well, Rage, I mean, the day that Lockup broke up, I called Brad Wilk, the drummer of Rage Against the Machine. He had auditioned for Lockup, and that was sort of the beginning of Rage. That was maybe winter in 91, like January 91, something like that. And, and it's been quite a journey since then. Yeah, I mean, I really thought, like when Rage Against the Machine, first of all, I was on, Lockup was a band that was signed to Geffen Records, and I thought that I had the brass, I'd never met anyone that was signed before. Never met anybody that was signed before. And so I thought, all my friends back home, they think you're a millionaire, and I was living in an apartment with 6 people.
Yeah, of course. Getting ready for the tour, all of you in the van, and all your gear in a U-Haul.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
lots of those.
And you just take turns each day being the tour manager.
Yes.
That's it. So I had my grab at the brass ring and failed at that grab, and I was 27 years old, and I was done. I was just done. So I made a vow to myself that I was not gonna. That band played the game, like that band. We did what the producer said,
Right,
because they knew better, right?
Yes.
They knew better. And so when that band broke up, I made a solemn vow to myself that I would never play another note of music that I didn't believe in, and that's when I started writing some of those Rage riffs, and then with the chemistry of the four guys in that band. With zero commercial ambition, it was a band that connected with audiences. And I had that feeling on stage that was very similar to the feeling when I was the imposter Jane's Addiction.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up zero commercial ambition because neither did Jane's Addiction. I mean, that was one of the things it was a time when it was kind of this post-punk, underground goth scene was going on, but it was getting a little new wave, and then also the hair metal on top.
Yeah.
So we also had the early Motley Crues and Poisons and whatever, and then there was this little world that these different bands fit in, and when it was Rage, and when it was
Tool,
Jane's, and it was Tool,
yeah.
and it was Chili Peppers, but that didn't really. They were, each one of those things were their own thing.
Because you could
autonomous.
You could make we were making music in this void of, like, you didn't think anyone was ever going to hear it, so you might as well make what you love.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
So you abandon the idea of no one's going to buy this anyway, so let's make it 10 minutes for all we care, because we like being on this part.
Yeah.
And those are the days. I miss those days.
Yeah. I mean, that was a pretty
But I
sweet
mean,
spot.
you still do that, it's a lot more accessible. Yeah. And so then there was the Audio Slave years.
So then there was Audio Slave years. There was I made 4 Night Watchman records of political folk music, and then I was in the E Street Band for about 6 years too.
I know.
It was crazy.
I mean, that
crazy
must have been the most unbelievable thing.
It was fairly unbelievable.
Surreal.
Yeah. Because I'm not like a casual. It's not like I got a gig in Bruce Springsteen. Like, I'm a super weirdo fan. Like, Bruce Springsteen is the only friend I have to whom I subscribe to 2 fanzines about, and who once I chased down Sunset Boulevard trying to kiss his head. So that's like, I'm a super fan.
And he still let you in the band?
He didn't remember that. I mean, now I guess it's public now, so he's gonna. But yeah, he still let me in the band, and so that was pretty crazy to rock with Bruce. And then there's my latest thing.
That's right, and we're gonna get
Prophets of Rage and all that.
And then the Prophets of Rage happen, and is that still a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
it's very much a thing.
That's fucking great. But now I'm holding right now in my hand Tom Morello, the Atlas Underground, and I've listened to it, and it is nothing like I've heard you do before.
Yeah. It's a collaborative record. It's a solo record. It's on. What I wanted was like the when you're in a band and it's good because there's a chemistry, and you're able to create something together that you couldn't alone.
That's right.
When you make solo stuff, there's a purity of vision that is undiluted by band members who have different. Right.
That's definitely right.
So with this record, I wanted the best of both worlds. Like, I'm the curator of this record, and there's a guiding North Star vision that is mine. But then in each of the tracks, there's 20 collaborators on this record, from Rise Against, Gary Clark Jr., Mumford & Sons, Bass Nectar, Knife Party, Portugal the Man, it goes Phanogram, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
But in each of the individual songs, you kind of get that chemistry of not knowing where this thing's going to land, but the overall vision is one of mine.
It's absolutely incredible. And then the fact that you managed to do this, I would imagine while you were out with
with Bruce and with Prophets and all that. Yeah,
wow, that's just incredible.
I've been laboring away in secret for some time.
So tell me a little bit about this, because what I'm holding is the companion to the album.
Yeah, it's like the hardcover book,
which is a hardcover book.
Yeah.
And tell me about this, because I think that we can identify with this. We've been talking about this a lot. This is replacing album art.
That's right. It is.
This is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
Finally, there's something to fill that.
What a fucking solution.
Yeah.
Tell us.
And there's stuff. So when I made this, I wanted it to not just be a record that people listen to, like the first minute and 45 on Spotify of each song, and that's their experience with it, right? So I wanted it to be like a tangible thing, and while people are buying vinyl, like this, it's a like 50, 60 page book it's got like rare ancient photos of me rocking, huge festival photos. It has like all my guitars are in there, and a dossier on each of the guitars and stuff.
And the Marshall head that you still
that's the one. That's the one from 1988, right?
That you've never not used.
I've never not used. Yeah.
Tell me. I mean, this thing.
You have that too, Dave. By the way.
What do you mean?
Your main head is the one you got on the Ritual tour. That's what I've been told. The one that we still use.
That's very possible.
Yeah.
That's very possible.
awesome.
But I don't. I remember I went through a bunch of different phases.
He got head on a lot of tours, so he can't remember which the main
I went through a
one
Mesa
was.
Boogie phase. I went through, and that I didn't.
I remember that. That was an unfortunate.
I didn't experience it. It's so hard to figure out.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I just stuck with one. That was my lockup amp, dude. That's
Yeah, oh my
I just
God.
stuck with that one. Yeah.
So this
If it ain't
book.
broke,
The guitar
don't
too,
fix it.
like the main guitar to that arm.
Yeah,
the
so
home
you're
guitar
looking
back
at we're looking at pictures of each guitar.
then. and it's like a little tells the sort of the history in every guitar. There's like these kind of like
I love that it has the height of each guitar, like almost in a
it's set,
lineup.
it's set up like a police
But I mean,
lineup
what
with
this
guitars.
really is, this is a piece of art unto itself. I mean, just
Yeah.
the way this thing has been put in.
Yeah. And then there's interviews with all the collaborators and all the lyrics and stuff are in there.
That's
so
great.
Wow, what a great idea, man!
No.
Are you the first to do this?
I don't know.
Was
But
it your
I like
idea, or did someone?
Yeah, it was my.
pitch
Yeah,
to
it
you?
was my. It was.
Really
I mean, the
smart.
idea was like we need to figure out ways for like true fans to get stuff rather than again sound like doing the quick Spotify listen down. Oh,
Yes.
there's a new record. Oh, I heard. You know,
I've been
heard it.
talking about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
as a vinyl collector for years now, about how just like being able to listen and hold. And now you have a product here where you can listen to this album and be looking at new stuff
Right,
the whole time through and
Yeah,
have
yeah.
almost an experiential.
That's the idea.
You know, yeah, it's
All
almost,
your senses are immersed in.
it's almost immersive.
Yeah.
It's almost immersive theater.
I'm guilty of it too. Like,
I mean, seriously, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it all fits together. You know, I spend a lot. Like I do a lot of thinking about stuff like that. And I
Yeah,
spend a
but
lot of time
it
putting
allows
that
you.
together.
I mean, and in this day and age where there are so many distractions and so many ways to just like look at your phone, get up and do something else, you know, get on the internet, whatever it is. I miss that connection to the music and the information.
Yeah,
and
it was
the fact-
private time that you had
Yes.
with your music and with your artist.
now, if it doesn't get you within 4 or 5 seconds,
Yeah.
you just move to the next one.
Yeah, and you're doing something else while you listen to.
5
You know,
seconds,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that we're really one of the reasons why there's been this sort of downturn in the. I will not say popularity, but sort of in the prevalence of rock music is because this is the main. I'm holding up my phone, but this is like the main listening device that people have.
I know.
And open hi-hat and electric guitars don't sound great on this. A band member of mine's kids who are young teens described the music of Rage Against the Machine and Audioslave thusly. They said they're not fans of it at all. Why? Because they describe it as small music.
Oh God! God, can you? That's just a knife through your heart. A nice, small music.
I hear a new album title. Next record.
Because you put Cardi B on your phone.
Yeah, I
and
know.
Put Evil Empire on your phone, and you know one of them's built for this. You know, and the other one's the other one's built for a different kind of.
But even in terms of the mystery and the mystique of having an album in your hand, the way this thing is creatively put together, and I'll get off it, but it still maintains that.
Yeah, that's
you
the idea.
know, it's really well done.
Yeah,
So,
and the thing too, I mean, also like with the music on, I was ambitious with the music on it, in that I wanted this record to be like a Trojan horse for electric guitar. You know, in a way that like the collaborators are people that are currently on the radio, and it's the people that make the beats, whether it's Bass Nectar or Knife Party or Pretty Lights. I wanted to make like a new subgenre of rock and roll that has the unapologetic my Marshall Stack riff rock crazy noise stuff, but then it's melded with EDM drops and the sounds of 2018, so that you know people who've never heard an electric guitar on a record they've ever listened to before, there's going to be a familiarity, but then there's also the uncompromising ass kickingness.
And it's really fantastic. Do we have some queued up?
No, well, I can get it right now.
What track would you want us to play?
I mean, you play anything you want. I mean, the Bass Nectar Big Boy Killer Mike jam, Rabbit's Revenge. Is kind of gets it done.
Okay.
Or the opening song Battle Sirens is either one of those.
Oh my
Go with
God.
one of those.
Who produced this record?
It's I mean, I executive produce it, but each track has a different producer on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was mastering like, making this thing sound like?
Mastering was more I kind of like went old school with mastering. I found a guy in the Catskills and just said, I know you haven't heard any of these bands. Just make it all the same level.
Make it sound the same. Oh, that's fucking great.
One of our listeners wanted to know what inspired you to do a solo album.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have done 4 other records that were under the name The Night Watchman, which were really solo albums, but this is the one that says Tom Morello on it because it's an electric guitar record, you know? And I really wanted to make a record that, like I said, like was able to curate a brand new genre of rock and roll, and that's not the thing that you can always do like in a more collaborative band setting. And there's also something I worked on this record over 3-4 years time, and just with a real singular vision. So that's why I wanted to do.
I mean, it really is unlike even anything you've ever heard before.
Let's do Battle Sirens, because that just okay. It's getting pulled up.
I'm actually buying it.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Sales spike.
You've already sold one just by being here.
You're welcome, Tom.
It means new Little League cleats for my kids. Great.
So, oddly enough, and we've been through so many things together, and we've seen so many things being in this town, living in this town, and I don't want to stay on this, but you spoke at Chris's funeral.
Yeah,
and I was there.
Sure.
And it stuck with me, and I'm not going to get into that, but it stuck with me that you brought up Hands All Over, which is
Jam.
My favorite all-time Soundgarden song, and I was just like, that is the one.
Yeah, for your listeners who don't know, there's a Soundgarden song called Hands All Over that you, as soon as you're done listening to my record beginning to end, you feel free to put that gem on from 1986 or whatever that is.
I mean, when I first heard that song, I was like, oh no.
And in light of these recent wildfires, it was prescient in a way too. I mean, it's a song about like Mother Earth, and the ravaging that was going on 30 years ago. And it's got a badass riff in it.
It almost had a Zeppelin feel to it.
Well, there were one or two of those songs.
Which track did you want to go
Let's go Battle Sirens. Top one should be the first one on there.
Bam, here it is.
Wow, man.
There you have it.
And I mean this in the most true, honest, well-intentioned way. I feel like I'm up in the club and I'm fucking rocking. It's
for the mosh pit and the dance floor.
But I mean, I've never felt like that before.
Well, thank you. Then,
do you know what I'm talking about?
That's the whole idea, man. That's what we're going for here, baby.
That was your new glowing review that needs to be on all social media. I feel like I'm up in the club, shaking my ass
and rocking out,
and that's just something that I mean, I felt that way a little bit in that like when dubstep was happening. I love the tonality of all that, and like those just deep synthy low bass sounds.
Well, the one thing that I was surprised to find, whether it was Knife Party or Bass Nectar or the Phanogram guys, or like they were all really big Rage fans. You know? And I heard, I was always against EDM music generally. It always felt like crap you'd hear in Italian taxi cabs when you're driving one place. Until I discovered it was like Skrillex and Knife Party. And I felt the tension and release of like some of those really big Rage jams. And it turns out that was not coincidental.
Well, the head still goes the same way in all of it. You know what I mean? The body still moves in the same way.
Not small music.
Now Dave's the kid on the dirty rug. Listening to him.
I know. That's absolutely
how
true.
the tables have turned.
Oh my God.
Get on the dirty
I really actually should sit on the floor for the rest of this. So we're going to play another one, right?
Another one. This one is like kind of the single. It's called Every Step That I Take. It's with Portugal the Man and Weethan, who is a teenage wunderkind in the production world. And this one is we're partnering with a suicide prevention group called SAVE for this, and we wanted to do something that was sort of meaningful for the time, and in part in memory of my buddy Chris Cornell, and something to sort of reach out to people and sort of demystify the idea of whether it's depression or suicide.
Well, let's get into that because I work in that field as well, quite a lot. So let's listen to this. Let's rock out again with Tom.
This one's a little more thoughtful, less rock outable,
and then we'll get real. Okay, be back. Unbelievable. Tom Morello there, Atlas Underground.
There you go.
Out now, available.
Everywhere.
And it should be everywhere, and will be, and probably is.
Yeah.
Another thing that I just realized when I was listening to that track is that, do you think, especially in this time, under this administration, under the turbulent times that we live in, where everybody's so divided, right?
Yeah.
And I've been speaking about this just about every week. And I've never seen it this bad in my life. And we're about the same age.
Yep.
Do you think, I mean, I really believe in my heart that it's the arts, well, the arts are one of the elements that could heal us.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do believe, listening to this, that this could bring racial cultures together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's that's a lofty ambition. The more music can touch people in a way that.
But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Podium speaking can't.
Because this could, this really is a marriage of everything that's happening, and.
Well, I mean, one of the things with this record, the idea was to bring together artists of different genres, ethnicities, genders, and ages in a very divisive time, and that in and of itself is a statement.
So the statement was acknowledged. I got it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. There you go.
The divisiveness is about what everybody's thinking, whereas music and stuff like this is about how everybody's feeling.
Yeah,
that's the difference. I think that you're trying to talk about.
I mean, the artist puts what he's thinking in there too, but.
Right, but to be able to feel it, like you just to step back to what you just said about you can't feel that from a podium.
Right,
you're not going to get the same thing.
Right.
You can get that through music. You can't through someone speaking, especially if it's hateful speech.
Oh my God. Okay, so Tom, you're very active. You're a very active, outspoken guy.
I can't help myself, Dave.
I envy it.
Yeah.
I do. I envy it. I look at guys like you. I look at Moby.
Yeah.
And I envy it. And we get into some political stuff here, but how are you feeling today in this day and age, in this current administration? What's going on?
Yeah.
What can we do?
I think we're at a dangerous crossroads of the planet's history, frankly.
Yeah,
I think it's not just this administration, which, has its many foibles, but I mean, literally, like, the planet is on the brink of perhaps their civilization is going to be a very different thing if global warming continues, which the foot is on the accelerator with this administration. So there's a lot, racism is a problem, economic injustice is a problem.
But why do you think that racism has become more of a problem?
Well, I mean, because it used to be, people wearing hoods at rallies, and now, people have their hoods in the closets of the Oval Office. And it is given a license to, and it's like, I don't know that Donald Trump says a lot of racist stuff. I don't know that in his heart he's a racist.
I said it last week.
But racists think he's a racist.
Right. That's the problem.
And it emboldens them in a way that has made it a very dangerous situation.
We've been saying that from day one.
Did I not say that last week?
Yeah.
Last week or a couple of weeks ago, I was saying, this guy's from New York. He's, I don't really think
he lights a fire under, and he does nothing to discourage it.
Because that's the base that could possibly reelect him.
It doesn't help when he declares himself a nationalist on TV either. He did that a few weeks ago.
Well, no, that's still going on as a hot topic about that.
Yeah.
I don't really care what he wants to call himself.
You should.
Why?
Because
because I think
when the president declares himself a nationalist on television, that lights even more of a fire that Nazism and all this shit might be acceptable.
It's a dog whistle to his fan base.
And it energizes the tiki torch dudes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a dog whistle to the fan base, no doubt. But regardless of what he says he is, his actions have already spoken louder than any statement he could make.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Up and down the line. And it doesn't just embolden racists, it's emboldened sexists, it's emboldened anti-science people. Like it's like civilization taking like monster steps backwards. And it was always latent, but now people feel much more comfortable in these kind of
the
outrageous.
Earth is flat is a thing again.
That's so
you know what I mean?
up.
Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Well,
it's
it's
up for
interesting to
debate.
me because I've been really focused on what I think it could be that could heal us, that could bring us together, that could help us as a people. And it's very, very much on my mind. I've been outspoken about it, because I think it's up to us at this point. We just had Veterans Day, and I went into this whole thing about how, these are men and women who put their lives on the line, regardless of the administration, because they still respect the office, perhaps, to allow us the freedom to think and feel and do and say as we want to. And a lot of that is disagreement, which we are allowed to do.
Yeah.
And I remember my whole life having disagreements politically with people and then just moving on and going to see a movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? You think this, I think that. Okay, but we both want to see Keanu Reeves save the world. So let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what is it that's going to heal that divisiveness?
Well, I think that
it really is like.
I have to say there's an element to the divisiveness. Like, I don't want to unite with Nazis. I do not want to unite with racists. I want to smash Nazis and racists. I think that's important. It's like sometimes it's less important to unite than it is to know which side.
But
By the way, I just want to say real quick, I loved when you commented about that Nazi that got punched in the face, and you came out and said that guy definitely deserves it.
Yeah,
He
if we can't
definitely
punch
deserves
Nazis, then who can we
Yeah,
punch,
yeah.
really? I mean,
And,
that's
and I guess what I'm saying is, I'm talking on a grassroots level.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
as a movement,
Yeah.
what would it be?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the one, if there's been a common thread through my decades of political rock work, it's about empowerment of the audience. And the I believe very firmly that history is not something that happens. History is something that we make.
Yes.
And so every generation, the people who have stood up in their time and changed the world for the better in progressive or radical ways had no more intelligence, courage, or power or creativity than anyone listening right now. They just did it. And so the option is that you have your hands on the wheel of history, and and you're tugging the wheel in one direction, or if you abdicate and you sit on the sidelines and you let some other sons of bitches drive the planet into a ditch, and that's just up to you.
So how do you deal with the pushback that you get by having such a prominent voice in terms of your
I mean, here's the thing: like
activism?
if you are a person in the world that whether your music or your opinions are agreed upon by all, they're probably pretty shitty music and opinions. You know what I mean? So if people are pushing back, it means that you're engaged in the issues of the day.
Yeah.
And and one part of my job as an artist is to try to move the goalpost.
Yeah.
You know, like people look at these I think that the music itself can be very political.
Yes.
Irrespective of any of the lyrics or the content.
Absolutely.
Like if you challenge the conventions of your instrument or of the kind of music that your band makes, it opens up the idea that conventions can be challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And if convention can be challenged in a concert hall or on a 6-stringed instrument, they can be challenged anywhere.
Wow, man. I don't know. I mean, I've really been focusing on kind of trying to bring a spiritual connectivity to the world.
Yeah.
You know, and trying to spread that message, because I really do think it's up to us, because they're not going to do this.
Yeah.
And we have to fight back and be stronger and more unified. I mean, the ones at least at a grassroots level, like you said,
Yeah.
you know, and bring ideas to the White House and make those happen. And that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I think that we are in a lot of trouble.
We're in a lot of trouble. And I think there's a million different ways to change the world for the better. There's punching Nazis. There's bringing a spiritual healing. Like there's not like one box to check, you know?
Right.
And that's why like you find sort of the truth within yourself and what issues or what the ways that you want to engage in the world and feel passionate about. And that's how you're going to
But I
change
guess
the world.
here's the question is why, and maybe I just asked it, but I can't wrap my head around why in even the Bush era, Junior, as much as that was a divisive issue, why we could still be friends then, but we can't be friends now.
Yeah.
Like
Bush wasn't trying to hurt people. He wasn't trying to divide people. This guy is doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Like trying every day to make us hate each other more and more.
Yeah. It's his recipe for success.
Yeah, and it's working, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's
Well, what do you
it's entertainment. I mean, he's a con man huckster guy, and whatever unemployment levels say, like at his heart, he's a snake oil salesman,
Yes.
and he's found a formula. Like I don't know what his real politics are. I know that
Neither
he
does
knows
he.
that saying this shit is successful.
Yeah.
You know, and,
Which is why I do think he will win again. I'm terrified he's going to win again.
I think that I don't know the opposition, the limited, tame, milquetoast opposition of the Democratic Party has not stepped up.
I know.
Yeah,
Is
that's
there-
the thing that worries me the most.
Who do you like? Who do you see as a potential front runner?
Given the current climate, I mean, I worked for 2 years. I was a scheduling secretary for United States Senator Alan Cranston for 2 years, and so I got to see how the sausage was made every single day, and how the politics as usual, which run both the Democratic and Republican parties, and it's entirely beholden to a small subset of rich dudes, you know, and that is the game that Trump kind of ran against, and in a way Obama ran against. Like America went, you know what? Let's try a black president. Like, okay, all things are let's try the crazy TV show guy. And I think there's a hunger for something that's not the responsibility. I think falls in these last 25 years from Clinton, Bush, that and the other. That the world has been run in a particular way that has not served the needs of the people of the world.
Right.
And a lot of working class and middle class people feel shafted by Democrats and Republicans alike. And so when you got someone who's able to, pay for his own campaign as a bunch of like, why not that guy? Oh, maybe the earth is full. I don't know, man. The way I know that my kid got sent off to wars and died for nothing. I know that, the economy in my local town is like, I grew up in Trump country. I grew up in a county where Democrats never even ran, and then, and in that country, in that county, the factories are closed. You go in the army, you work at Walmart, you sell meth, you become a stripper. Like that's it.
Right.
That's it. In the little like Norman Rockwell block that the Morellos lived on, 4 of the houses have gone back to nature.
Wow.
There's like raccoons and trees in the houses, right? And there's people like I'm not being. No one's on my side. It didn't get better under Bush. It didn't get better under Obama, and that's why I think that we need solutions that are not just like, well, let's check a box. It's great to vote, but if that's all you do, then that's all you're going to get. Is what you got.
I think that's what I'm saying is that we need to do more in it than vote.
Yeah.
But why do you? So as a front runner. Does a name come to mind?
There's not so much names. Like, I think you should aim for the world you really want. Like, aim for the world you really want. Like a world where there is peace, a world where where polar bears get to survive. A world where no children are ever hungry. Like aim for the world you really want, and then figure out how to get there. Rather than going like, well, that candidate's not quite as bad as that one, and I guess we'll 4 more years of it not getting much worse. Because that is the aiming that we do.
Yeah, the lesser of two evils. Is the way it's been for long.
Of two lessers. Yeah. And you just if you aim to lose, then you're going to get what you aim for.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting? Is Rage Against the Machine getting more pressure than ever to do something new and current?
Rage Against the Machine has been wholly unresponsive to pressure for its entire history.
That's very true. I can attest to that.
I imagine with what's going on now, you're hearing more about it than ever.
I've never stopped hearing about it. And if a Rage Against the Machine show breaks out, count me in.
Right. You heard that here first. Now, so we also have another situation that we, both share, which is we work in the suicide prevention field.
Sure.
And you just brought up SAFE. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, SAFE it's a great organization that helps sort of demystify depression and suicidal thoughts. So it's not something that people often will not go for help because there's a stigma about.
There's a stigma and there's a shame.
Yeah, exactly. And like if you break your arm, it's not shameful to go to the to get your arm
100%.
set by the doctor. But if you have feelings in your mind, then all of a sudden you feel like you'll be judged in some way. And a lot of the work they do is just to get rid of that, because that's just not, that is something from another century.
I've been working in that field as well, and I've been very outspoken about my own depression, my own shame, my own fear, and finding such a great strength. And just like to let the steam valve open and say, hey, this is a real thing.
And then other people can witness that and go like, it's like, if you feel that way too, there's a kinship, and it's not something where you're just, you feel like there's no, I just finished reading the Springsteen autobiography where he talks about his depression. Right. Like if you and Bruce Springsteen can be depressed people and talk about it openly, then,
Yeah, so that's fantastic. We did that show last year for Music Cares because they're very involved in the suicide
above
prevention.
ground.
The above ground thing.
Yeah.
And I've been, so I've been very close. And I tell you, man, right when Chris died, I put on Soundgarden, and I sat there and I wept.
Yeah.
And I wept because I knew how that felt.
Yeah.
And I'm getting teary now.
Yeah, I still weep all the time, dude.
Sorry,
it's still so horrible.
But it hit me so hard to see someone so talented, so lovely, so incredible and magical, and still mythical, and still just a loving human being who I actually worked with when we were on tour in 2003.
Yeah.
He and I would bring kids from rehabs.
Yeah.
And hang out with them and say, hey guys, you can do this sober and stuff.
Right.
And, but to still have that hole in yourself and still feel that depression and loneliness and isolation, it's certainly on tour, especially on tour. I identified so deeply with that, and I felt so much loss and pain about that. That's the one that hit me the hardest.
Yeah.
And then
the lesson is that there is help. I mean, really,
Yeah.
the lesson is there is help.
Yeah.
There are friends, there's family, there's loved ones, and there are professionals who can help. You know, like if the arm's broken, you go to the doctor.
Right.
You can do the same thing, and you can get real help that will save your life and change your life, and it will definitely make it better. And
Which is
save. You can go to the just Google it, SAVE, and the organization. That
very cool. Yeah, which was exactly why I'll occasionally I'll write something or share something, you know, where I say, you know, I mean, I'll come on the show and say, hey guys, I'm in a little bit of a depression today.
Yeah.
You know, it's just to destigmatize,
Right.
and,
Right.
I'll make posts about exactly what I do,
Yeah.
and the solutions that my solutions may not be for everybody, but here's mine.
Yeah.
They're a suggestion if you're in a similar
But you got to
space.
do something.
Yeah.
You know, people have to do something. If you just sit there, it's not going to go away.
Well, in the same vein as domestic violence, which I work in that space, and having lost my mom, you know, and shame has been on my mind a lot lately, and I've been thinking about this phrase. I'm in a lot of fear and shame, but other than that, I'm doing great.
Right.
You know, which is how a lot of the world lives.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is if you put that sentence together, that's how most of the world lives. And, you know, shame keeps a lot of domestic violence situations at bay because women are afraid to reach out, or, you know, and then the reaction is, well, how can you stay in there for so long? And what are you doing? And
it's not worth the fight.
It's not. And then you're shamed for it. And same thing is happening with this mental illness thing. And I mean, the key is to break through that shame, because as hard as it is to break through shame, and it is an incredibly difficult task to be be vulnerable and honest and do something that most of the population isn't willing to do. That's fucking courage.
Yeah.
And
While
bravery.
at the same time wrestling with like chemical depression.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's not just like, oh, I'm going to be less shameful today. It's like you have the real sort of chemical stuff in your brain
chemical
that is
imbalance.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
chemical
neurons
imbalance.
misfiring and pathways, or your brain gets into certain pathways and it sticks in those pathways. So even if you have a reaction to something, your pathway is going to go to the one it's used to, and you're emotionally going to react to that same very thing, even though it's unrelated to your original
you have no
trauma.
choice. You have no choice. Your brain is making you do that.
Right.
But there is help for that, and even in other areas that you and I have gone and done with support groups and stuff like that. All their messages in the literature and everything is about shame reduction. If you take a general umbrella, because that is the problem.
Yeah.
And there is the help out there.
yeah, where you can look out, get your head above the shame hole, to be able to see that there's a world out there that cares about you.
Man.
So rock and roll and whatnot, it's
EDM drops.
There's EDM drops and whatnot, and we've got all.
But
that.
I knew
808s, man, 808s.
But let me tell you, I knew this was what I wanted. I knew if you came in here, we weren't talk top 10 favorite guitar players, which I could,
which there's nothing wrong with that discussion. There's a lot of shame in that discussion.
We could break through that shame and move slickly into.
I have an idea.
Slickly.
You have a pretty funny story about the 2003 Lolla tour with Audio Slave.
Okay, well, I'll get to that. In
But
a
you
second.
have to do the part.
I'm not going to do the part.
Yes, you
but
are gonna do the part.
There's no way. There's no way. We were into something. Okay, so we have.
I'm kind of curious about that.
I know you are. Okay,
yeah.
I'll share a story. So we were on tour in 2008, Ninja Tour.
Yeah.
And here's the
2009,
story.
2009.
Here, and then I never forget this time. Stephen Perkins comes up to me and he's like, "Yeah, because those dressing rooms are small and next to each other, and like sometimes it's just a curtain.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Remember those days? I mean, and
A privacy tarp.
yeah. So Steve comes back in the room and he goes, "I just heard Tom talking about Jane's addiction tonight," and someone said to him, "How's Jane sounding?" And he said, "Well, then she did sounds good."
Wait, what?
Then she did sounds good. Yeah. It was like he was so.
That's about it.
I was like, but what I've always loved that about you is like when I played Strays for you at your house.
Yeah.
I come up to his house. Now I guess I can't really say what he said. But
But sort of in an era where,
but it was
there was a different vocabulary that we sometimes described.
We're in his house, for Christ's sake, okay? And say what he wants. But Yeah, but but I've loved your honesty about. I mean, there's an integrity and honesty in you that I.
And I'm a fan. It's also, you understand that I'm a fan. It's not like like there's a like. I'm a fan.
Yeah, but that was
a disappointed fan.
Yeah, well, let me tell you. I mean, part of the magic of Jane's Addiction was, I mean, it was a coin flip night to night, man. That was part of that was part of the magic.
Oh, I remember Billy Corgan seeing one of our worst shows ever and coming up to us and saying, "We call those art shows."
Yeah, I think I might have cited a Jane show as the worst show that I ever attended.
Wow.
Really? Yeah, you'll remember it because it was a special night.
Was it Phoenix?
Nope, it was at the Universal Amphitheater.
Okay.
And few songs were played. Really? Very few songs were played.
Is that true?
Yeah, very few songs were played. There were extensive discussions of numerology and dolphins. And I believe that you committed an act upon yourself.
I do remember this show.
And I remember the look on poor Flea and Steve Perkins' face because it was the look on my face.
Is this the vibrator in your ass?
Yeah, that would be that.
You were there.
I was there for that one. I brought a bunch of friends because I wanted to see Jane's Addiction.
So Tom,
I'm like, the best.
You guys got to see him.
You got
And so especially when he fucks himself in the ass.
So I'm like, what's happening?
Since that night, Tom puts a vibrator in his ass every night at every show.
Stole that from me. But I do remember that, and I do remember Perry just like talking for a long time. And like just literally looking through the back of the venue into like a nebula that he was really connecting with. Like it really was real for him, you know?
Just nobody else was connecting with it, just him.
I kind of wish I had seen that.
And you were like, and so Dave was like, well, thank goodness I got my handy vibrator over here while he's talking about dolphins. I'm going to
I'm going to fuck myself over here.
I happen to know another little tidbit about that night that you shared with me.
What's that?
That it was a show that your dad was at.
No!
That's right.
And I remember because you told us when we were
working
doing
out some issues there. Then.
No kidding.
Yeah, you were working out.
When we were doing
This
Spread
is what
TV.
you've done to me, Dad.
Yeah.
Are you proud of your son, Dad?
When you told it when we were doing Spread TV, which I cut a very nice little clip of him doing it, and then crickets playing.
Oh, it's amazing!
Oh my god! But it was crickets.
Yeah, I know.
I remember. I remember.
You said on the show that you were saying, you know what? This is going to be really edgy. Wait till they see this. It gets up there and it's just like, oh my.
By the way, next week we're giving away that vibrator. On the show.
I remember turning around and it was like. Just the whole everybody in the first 5 rows were possums, just expressionless.
They're like, well, pretty
soon,
No Doubt will be on, and then it'll be all right.
Yes.
Like this can't go on.
I'm so embarrassed that you were there.
Jeez, I hope Gwen Stefani has the same thing in her act.
There's two ways a band can be great. One is bands that have like sort of a consistent, like relentless greatness night to night and decade. And then there's bands that it's the greatest show you've ever seen, and on other nights it's so crazily off the rails. And
Right.
Seeing Jane's Addiction is like going to Vegas. You're either going to win big or lose everything.
Well, I mean, if you think of that Band of Gypsies record, which is just one of the greatest records of all time. Apparently, the night before was a disaster.
Yeah.
Had you heard that?
No, but I could feel that. I feel that it was on the edge.
Yeah, and they were like, you guys were recording this, and this is supposed to be a thing, and it was just. And what they did give us, of course, thank God, is one of the greatest things ever made, I think. So we were getting into guitar players. If there's Do your top 5s rotate or are they firm?
I think they're after a while they just sort of they're carved in stone. And
they're carved in stone. Mine seem to rotate based on how I'm feeling emotionally.
Oh, yeah.
Based on which dildo you're using.
This is the Gilmore vibrator.
I was going to say I just hit the Gilmore spot. Comfortably numb feels like this to me.
Oh my God.
It is not numb. It is not comfortable either.
I really thought that was going to be like the edgy thing. And that was also around the time when I'd spray blood in dressing rooms and I wrote that note to Fiona Apple.
Oh, yeah. That was... It was a darker period.
Yeah, I went through some
It
rough
makes for a
times.
good book.
Back into the shame hole, Dave.
Makes for a good book. Yeah. No wonder you're dealing with so much shit.
No,
Sometimes shame is appropriate.
Actually, no, I do. Well, no, what I needed was a filter. You know what I mean? Like, I had no shame at all. But I was, you said it when you walked in here. It's like, I look back at those times. I'm like, I can't fucking believe I'm still.
Yeah.
I mean, I really can't believe it. I can't believe it. All right, so top 5.
Well, be ever vigilant. Here's this again. I think I might have told you this after Chris, but be ever vigilant. And if you ever need to call somebody, call me.
Oh, I will.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay.
Be careful what you wish for.
No, it's true.
Todd's going, thank God.
He's
like
going to give you
Navarro
the last serious thing. It's all guitar
I'm going to give you his number.
He's like,
this is the last serious thing. But I will, like, the last time I saw Chris, he was shining. He was as good. He was great. He was as great as I had ever seen him. He was completely fulfilled and happy in career and family.
Yeah.
And we had, and so, you know, you never know. Like, it's always there somewhere, you know. And so if it ever surfaces, give me a call.
and Todd's going, thank God.
Yeah. He was like, you're off the hook.
Share contact.
Well, I'm sending him to you. I mean, that's what I'm going to.
But I mean, so there was no indication.
I mean, it was. I saw him in January and he passed in May. So
Okay.
the intervening months, I don't know. But
Right. Man, I just, God, I felt for that. Okay, so
guitars. And
you
whatnot.
did name a son. Hey, you're helping me like
Yeah.
pull me out of the emotional hole.
Yeah,
he
you started to slide
he
back
saw
in.
it.
You started to slide
it's really
back
nice.
in there,
Thank you.
dude. Yeah.
That's it. See, that's what you're supposed to do. All right, so
humbuckers and
you
whatnot.
have a son.
Yeah.
Named after Randy Rhoads.
Yeah, Rhoads Morello, my firstborn. I named, that was the poster on my wall when I was practicing 8 hours a day every day. And the allure of Randy Rhoads was not just that he was a great guitar player, is that he self-identified as a musician first and a rock star second.
Yes.
You know? Because a lot of my favorite bands like AC/DC and Kiss, like they were kind of, their music was like, it felt like they were either about the devil or groupies or this, that, and the other. And I did, that was not none of that was in my world.
Really?
But the story that was very impressive about him was when he was on tour with Ozzy Osbourne. I thought he was the greatest guitar player on the planet. When he was on tour with Ozzy Osbourne, on days off, he would take classical guitar lessons.
I remember.
So he would humble himself and go to whatever guitar store in Omaha.
I remember that.
And he would take, and I just thought that's the route right there. You know?
Yeah.
And so
is he still
he's my
firmly the number one?
Yeah, firmly number one. I mean, he has he died young and left a beautiful catalog.
Oh,
too,
my God.
So nothing can chip away at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. He would take lessons. Okay. So if there's the top 5, who else?
I mean,
is
just sort of
floating
off the
around
top
in
of
there?
my, there'd be a Hendrix, there'd be a Page, there'd be probably a Gilmore, and then it gets like when you get down to 5, there's the divergent branches. Like I love Andy Gill from Gang of Four for like the outside playing. That was a huge part of it. Like,
same for me with Bauhaus and Love and Rockets and Daniel Ash.
It made me think you don't have to play scales like other people do in order to make effective music.
What is outside playing? Just not the traditional.
Sure. So outside playing, it's a term that maybe is used more in jazz, but there are notes that correspond with specific chords. So when you're playing an A minor chord, there are notes that fit inside and sound pleasing and melodic to the ear. When you play notes that are beyond those are outside notes. So they're unexpected notes. For example, the band Gang of Four, like I remember my friends who were cooler than me, when they first played it for me, I thought, it sounds like the guitar player is playing a different song than the rest of the guys in the band. Yeah. And then later on I realized, oh my gosh, that's like what a different way of looking at music.
Kind of a very Jane's thing in a way.
In some way, yeah. And then the other one was Alan Holdsworth too, who he was much more of sort of a jazz-oriented guy, but he would play this outside stuff. And then I was like, holy smokes, like what if I made like my big heavy metal rock riffs, but then incorporated some of the stuff that was less traditional.
Really interesting. So Ed Van Halen doesn't show up in here.
He was so important, but I don't know that. I mean, in part, there were a bunch of records that I didn't feel, later on.
Yeah, well, I'm talking first 4 records.
The first 4 records are undeniable.
Yeah.
And it's set a impossibly high standard.
Yeah, up to Diver Down. I mean, up to for me, it's up to Fair Warning.
Fair Warning. That feels right. That feels right.
Yeah, man. I've had Gilmore in my number 1 slot for a long time. And what was the thing I said yesterday? It was the thing that I love about Pink Floyd is that with Roger and David, Roger has an outward aggression which I can tap into, and David's playing is an inward reflection.
Yep.
and you have the two in the band.
Yeah.
And I think Jane's always tried to kind of have those that multitude of human condition that's contained within a sonic soundscape.
Yeah. That sounds right.
So I think that's why he's my favorite. But I mean, the Shredders. I love the Shredders.
Yeah. I mean, you go full shred. Do you like go on like Instagram shred? Because
I'm on all those. Yeah.
You follow, so do you have some more current?
Right now, I'm back on the Steve Vai train.
Sure.
He just did that jam a couple weeks ago. There's like a 36-hour jam.
I didn't understand what was happening there, but
it was difficult to
no
understand.
one does.
Yeah.
But it was literally a 36-hour jam with just rotating guitar players the whole time, and it went to charity to fund foster homes and stuff like that.
Well, he's extraordinary. I mean,
and to play with
the
him,
Passion and Warfare record, and I mean, we're losing a lot of your listenership now. Probably
no.
There's a song called Blue Powder that was like really transformative.
We've played it on here. He's been on here. I don't think we're losing anybody.
Okay.
No. He sat here for 2 hours.
He's such a great guy.
He's a great guy and and again, he's someone who's like a real committed musician, you know, like committed musician, which is very honorable, and a great dude.
And he holds clinics to help upcoming musicians and does all that service work. And do you do anything like that? Because you're such an innovative guitar player.
I don't, my bandwidth is full up, Dave. Between like saving the planet and being in a bunch of bands and raising kids, like I got to say no to something. I'm saying no to clinics.
Well, I don't mean clinics like go down to the local shop and like give a clinic and sign some pictures.
I actually just did one of those master classes.
That's what I'm talking about.
I did a master class. I did that. So that was, I don't know if you know what that is, but they like, Stephen Sondheim does. They like in different areas, like
of course.
and
Scorsese one.
Basketball player.
Yeah.
And so it's 3 extensive 12-hour days where you lay out like your vision of music and the instrument and the guitar, and then people can, it's there forever for people to see.
They're great, actually. The master class series.
It goes so deep, and it's really like it's kind of exhaustively. If you just picked up a guitar, or if you want to, go from the stadium to the bigger stadium, it's kind of all in there. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, where can that be seen?
I think just a master class.
Yeah, it's all over social media too. They have pages and stuff, but if you go to Masterclass. I happen to have had an inside look at one that was done, and the amount of stuff that they film and do, like I got to see the raw, and what they present, because what they present is massive,
right?
But
it's edited,
and what they actually film. At least for the one that I saw, was like a fucking week long of watching.
They take it so it's like a crew of 100. You're filming the Titanic when they do the thing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Darren, we got a call. Hi, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, man, it's Robert from Eagle Rock. What's going on, you guys?
Hello, Robert. Doing very good.
Cool, man. Hey, Tom, I heard this show that you were supposed to play in Highland Park, I believe.
Yes.
And it got canceled, man. What happened, brother?
It didn't get canceled. It got moved. There was a anti-gentrification group there that informed me that they were boycotting the venue and they were going to picket the show. And I've never crossed a picket line in my life. And I said, I'm not going to start tonight. And so we moved the show. And for the fans that were surprised by that, I rented a shuttle bus to sit in front of the old venue to take them to the new venue. And we did it at the Terragram Ballroom.
Nice.
That's where we ended up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing, brother. Right, dude, that sounds just like you would do something like that. And
I'm trapped
there's
in
a lot
me.
of fans out here, dude.
Right on. I know that, brother. I know. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right on.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Great question.
Thanks.
Great question.
Hey, thanks a lot, you guys.
Yeah, you got it.
That's cool, man. That was it. All right,
Okay.
thanks a lot, brother.
Right on. Have a good night.
Darren, I know that you had a question.
Oh, I was just gonna ask Tom briefly. I am a big Opie and Anthony fan, and I'm sure you know that they used your music.
I don't know.
You didn't know that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
should I be? Because I'm litigious, so I'm happy to happy to know that.
Cha-ching,
Darren's nickname is Can
you know
of
what?
Worms.
They made a lot of money, so go get your money. They used Running Man for their. Is that the name of the song?
I don't have a song by that name, but I don't.
Rage?
Yeah, there's no Rage song called Running Man.
Running Man?
Are you thinking of the Schwarzenegger movie?
No.
That's a fantastic film. I used to check that out.
I hope I didn't bomb. I'm pretty sure that they say it's Rage, but okay. Maybe it's not.
Maybe that's just not the title.
Okay.
That's possible.
Let me find out.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't know about it, and that's not the title. It's pretty unlikely that it's...
Darren, please see yourself out.
He's looking it up right now. He's going to get some...
I'm looking it up. Let's get some
That's
in the meantime,
internetable.
Dave has a story to tell.
No, I don't. Wait.
Yeah.
Let's get into the intel. And speaking of which, you know, you're one of the few musicians that I came up with that we've watched this transition with the industry.
Sure.
We've watched the transition with the advent of the internet when it first came, and then when we kind of went, oh, this is like a real thing, and then now to where it is now.
Yeah.
And even you and I are very, we're pretty active in it.
Yeah.
And I outwardly hate it. Yes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
it goes against the grain of everything you knew as a child riding a bike somewhere.
100%. I absolutely, I'll go through like 3 months where I'm like, I'm just never going to do it again. Mm-hmm. And then I'm on, and there I'm back. And so what's your feeling about like where we are digitally in terms of always having our heads down, always being, there's less human connection, so it's easier to be.
Talk about pathways being rerouted. I mean, they're certainly being rerouted in ways that we do not know how that's going to affect future generations. I see in my kids, and we keep screens away from them as much as possible, like sort of as a last ditch effort to have children that are recognizable as some version of what I was as a child. You know what I mean? And so, but I really think it's hard to say. And I long for a like that movie The Village, where we kind of all go and get rid of everything and start over.
And in fact, I'm moving up north or buying a place up north for that environment.
Yeah. Well,
I think I need it.
Yeah, I think it's healthy. But no, I mean, it is what it is. And what the level of social media and tech that we have now, in 4 or 5 years, it'll be an entirely different, as it is different now 5 years than it was 5 years prior. There's no telling like what it's going to be, and it's worrying. And like at my kid's school, they just had, for the 3rd grade parents, just had the first talk about social media and sex. And it's terrifying. It's whereas for us there was one Playboy magazine that once made it on.
Yeah,
in
right.
In 8th grade, once made it on and was fought over like hyenas.
Yeah, it's
now
really crazy.
You've got one older brother and you're done.
But I mean, I think about how recently it was that America was so appalled by the Patriot Act.
Yeah,
like, how dare they want to know what's in my computers?
Right.
However, I'll show them who I am and everybody I know and where I am and what I'm doing.
What your likes and dislikes
what
are.
my likes and dislikes are, and where I financially fit into the scheme of things. And where, it's absolutely. So at its core, it's just feeding on ego.
Yeah.
And it's just. I really wrestle with that. Do you have any?
There's just no telling like what that's going to make the human race into. And throughout the history of humankind, it's whatever makes money in the short term just determines what the world is.
Yeah.
Whether it's polluting the environment or whether it's lead in the paint or what. It's just that's the cheaper way to do it. So we'll do it that way, and then let the chips fall where they may. And that's we live in an economic system where that's just how decisions are geared. And I don't know what planet we're gonna, if there is a planet, in 50 years from now, what the social media stuff will be. You have every right to be concerned.
I mean, it is. Someone that said this to me the other day. It's like we really, really are living in an episode of Black Mirror at this point. When TVs were square and you had to go pick up the phone and actually get up and change the channel, the speed at which we are going. And if you think about how long man has been on the planet, which is just like, it's at 11:59 is where we showed up or whatever,
Right.
So it's like, where are we headed? I mean, it's just, Darren's got
the one good news in 1 second is that in music, there is a healthy commonality with our ancestors in the tribal gathering that is a concert experience or something. Like I went to go see, my kids took me to see 21 Pilots the other day at at the forum, and it was not a show. You know, there people are Instagramming and stuff, but it did feel like a communal experience of people feeling something together that is like deep in the reptilian DNA of humanity. That was a connection that we had that was real. You know, and
it is in the DNA, and actually, there's this Dr. Terence McKenna who talks about, you know, when the primal man, that community, there was no way for them to know whose child was whose. You know what I mean? So the tribes looked at the children as our children, and it was communal, and that's what that's what we're getting back to when we get into those musical moments. Darren, we have a phone call here.
Yes, and quickly, Street Fighting Man.
Street Fighting Man. Yeah. There we go. Okay,
Running
Man. Oh, his next month. I feel so bad for him. Oh my God, buddy, I'm sorry in advance.
Running Man.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to make a clip of it.
He's never gonna not fact check again, though. I got a feeling.
Well, you think I'm gonna cut this? Cut that part? I'm not cutting that shit. Get your own fucking cut, guy.
That's
touche.
Right on.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hello. This is Dave from New Mexico.
Hi, Dave.
How's it going this evening?
What's going well? What's up, man?
Excellent. I just wanted to first and foremost say thanks to the Dark Matter crew for always providing a much-needed reprieve from all the chaos and madness in America and making us laugh and whatnot. Thank you very much. Thanks for that. But just wanted to say to Tom. Was really, really fortunate to catch you with Rage and Audio Slave and Street Sweeper Social Club. Always phenomenal shows. I respect what you and Dave are doing as far as the domestic violence work and the suicide prevention and whatnot. But I was curious, Tom, if you had any thoughts about, kind of going along with the whole digital age and the movement towards, away from, I guess, moving towards technology. Are there any sort of authors that you really think that young people should be reading these days to really kind of enlighten themselves about, what's happening in the world or things of that nature, or philosophers that you're really interested in? Can
you specifically with regards to the tech stuff or sort of more broadly?
More broadly.
I mean, it's in this age where like news is you can find a news channel for your own personal prejudices. That sort of reinforce your narrow version of the world. I mean, for me, I read the Intercept on online, which is really like smart and kind of sorts out the world in a way. As far as philosophers and stuff, I mean, even in his 80s now, Noam Chomsky makes a lot more sense to me than anybody else. Glenn Greenwald, he writes for The Guardian stuff, is someone who like has a very, very clear like picture of that resonates with me as very, very truthful. So there's a couple off the top of my head.
And by the way, speaking of a book, I just looked it up because I didn't know the author's name, but there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And the author is best. You know the book?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. It's by Bessel van der Kolk, and what it is about healing trauma and about how the parasympathetic nervous system holds trauma. And so, speaking on a totally different element, but answering the same question, that's the book that I would recommend because it's about releasing what stores into our bodies physically and manifests itself physically.
I think my wife read it and loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly a remarkable book, and anything by Gabor Mate I would recommend as well. But great call, man. Thank you.
Hey, thank you both. Thank you both very much for the suggestions. Really appreciate it. Music heals and unites. Thank you very much.
Right on. Have a good night, man.
Show.
Thank you,
buddy. Take care of yourselves. Be well.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Nice fella.
Another one?
No, that's it.
Is the Running Man on the line?
All right.
Next week Todd's going to come in with sound clips from the Running Man of Arnold. I mean, it's never gonna
I already
end.
see the damn pictures and the memes.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's all coming.
The Sub-Zero line. Now you are.
It doesn't help that I'm black.
We're just gonna send you pictures of.
You used to be Sub-Zero. Now you are Plain Zero.
A bunch of MC Hammer fucking memes and shit.
Oh God, that's gonna be great. I can't wait.
Real quick, by the way, we have a winner for our giveaway.
Oh, let's hear about this.
The winner for the Dave set list is Ariel Harold. Congratulations.
All right.
What was the password? Fidelio.
Fidelio.
And so how was she selected as a winner?
It was a random. We have someone who runs our Twitter a little bit, and she did like a random number generator thing, like jumbled. Bunch
She
of
just
names.
didn't pick somebody that she liked because she looked.
I sure hope not.
No, she had the
Probably
thing,
did.
the little cage with the balls with the numbers in it.
That's very
So
very analog.
Yes, we go analog.
We got another phone call. Hi, you're on Dark Matter.
Hi, this is Salvador from Long Beach.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I just have a question for Tom.
Yep.
Hello.
Hi. I was just wondering, how did you come up with your album cover? I really like your album cover, and it's very interesting. How did you come up with it?
Oh, thanks. It's here. I'm showing David right now. It's, where is it? It's got to be in here somewhere.
Oh, that's not it.
It's not.
Okay,
It's not.
okay.
It's there. It's just for those of you in the room here. It's sort of like looks like a black and white Renaissance painting of a flying hippopotamus is what it is. Yeah. And the idea was that there's like a sort of a gravity and a strength and a weight to the creature, but it's also kind of unexpectedly beautiful. And that's what we were going for in the music. And it seems like that image captured that.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
there it is.
that
There
really
it
is
is.
incredible.
Yeah.
Who did that?
It's a natural photograph.
Fella whose name I do not know off the top of my head.
All right. Well,
I concocted it.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Right.
You get this when you're
Cool.
describing
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you, Salvador.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
When you're describing it, you get this visual that's coming from my own mind,
Right.
and then when you see that, and you're like, "Wow, that's fantastic!"
Yeah,
You know.
right.
and what's really interesting is that it is very representative of what's going on in the album. It's because it's a juxtaposition of something. You know what I mean? It's a juxtaposition.
There are no
here
accidents here,
that
Dave.
works.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this is really well thought out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this hippo looks lighter than air.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just
And fierce.
yeah, to a degree. I mean, they are
Yeah.
like one of the most
That's what I'm
fiercest
saying.
animals
That's what
in
I'm
the
saying.
world.
That's the
You know what I mean?
juxtaposition.
Some of the
Yeah.
fiercest beats.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You know what that thing's missing?
What's that?
A dildo in its ass.
Isn't everything really? I mean, if we're being honest, isn't everything?
I just, I wanted to beat Dave to the punch. I knew he was going to say
Well,
that.
you know, maybe if I get to do a remix, I gotta put on my own cover. Tom, when is this going out? When are you guys going out?
I've been doing these Atlas Underground experience shows, which are sort of like more promo shows than where it's a lot of it is discussion and sort
Yeah.
of telling interesting tales of my past, present, and future. And then I shred my ass off. In 2019, though, I'm going to do the Atlas Underground tour with Sean Evans, who's the artistic director of the Roger Waters tours.
Oh,
Oh my God.
Great.
It's the best.
And so he and I are concocting, because one of the challenges of this when you're doing a record that has Wu-Tang Clan and Mumford & Son and Gary Clark Jr. and all, like not everybody's going to be at every show.
Right.
So the way you have to create an experience that is one where you're not going to miss anybody if they're not there. So that we're working on that for 2019.
Do you try to have
Right.
different guests in different cities? Is that
It's
kind of the hope? or?
the show. If guests come, that's going to be fantastic. But the show has to be phenomenal without any guests. That's the idea that we're aiming for.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you reach out to that production designer?
Yeah, well, Sean and I have been friends for a while. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you
yeah,
have?
Yeah. we've
Okay,
been friends
so
for a while.
you obviously went to the Roger Waters
Yeah,
shows
yeah.
recently at
Incredible.
Staples Center.
Incredible.
I mean, it was just the most effective, amazing, and obviously, God, the anti-Trump period where he took animals basically and made it relevant today.
Right.
Was just so empowering.
Yeah, I mean the thing about Sean's work, and he did the Wall tour as well, was
God.
in those shows. I remember, like sitting there thinking, I just saw 40 things in a rock show I've never seen in another rock show. 40 ideas I've never seen.
There is not a better show in the world than that show. There might be ones that are equally as good, but there's no better show than Roger Waters.
Yeah. It certainly it has its own lane. It has its own. Anyway, so we don't have the same budget that Roger Waters has.
Right. But I mean,
a good idea is a good idea.
This is a good idea. Guy. So
cue the paper mache hippopotamus.
But I really
Stonehenge.
Oh, that's great. I also love the discussion aspect of what you brought up. I mean, the Beastie Boys just did a little thing where they were doing some discussions.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So like some local luminary in each city conducts the interview, and it sort of goes, and they got some pretty flavorful pictures of my past in there as well. The Jerry curl is revealed.
I love it. I saw it in here. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, and then sort of telling some entertaining tales of the past and whatnot.
But I mean, that's fantastic, dude. It's a whole new thing. And so when these interviews are happening, is the stage also set for full on rocking? Like actually
in this show that I'm describing now, which is like sort of the more promo show.
Right,
it's a one man show.
Yeah, but I like this idea.
Yeah, there's an amp and all of stuff set up here. There's a big screen behind that has sort of images and stuff, and then it's just a discussion, and amusing tales.
So like almost an actor's studio, and then you do the thing.
A little bit. Yeah. Should I tell you a tale that I tell during the? Yes. Would you like to?
I would love it.
Would you like to hear a tale? Okay. I recently saw the Michael Moore had a new movie that came out.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Mike, it's really good. Michael, if you enjoy Michael Moore movies, this is a great one. This is a great one, right? But Michael directed 2 Rage Against the Machine videos. He directed the video for Sleep Now in the Fire and for Testify. The first one he did was Sleep Now in the Fire, which was in '99, and I was a huge fan of his TV show TV Nation and Roger and Me.
Right.
And Michael just was so like. He would get in these crazy situations. I had one question I could not wait to ask him when I met him. He comes in the trailer like, Mike, how many times have you been arrested? He said, I've never been arrested. And I jokingly said, well, you've never worked with Rage Against the Machine. Right. So anyway, Michael is a man of like few directorial edicts. So we're filming on Wall Street, and we have a permit to film on the federal steps.
Okay.
We do not have a permit to film on the city sidewalk. You're
kidding me.
So we're rocking on the steps, and for listeners who may not know, when bands are making music videos, they're not really playing.
Right.
There's playback happening. It's like a CD or something, and you're miming along. Just so that's important later. So we're playing on the federal steps, and Michael gives one direction to the band. He says, "No matter what happens, don't stop playing." No matter what. So I'm like, that's easy to remember.
Yeah.
So we're playing on the steps. It's going pretty well. Bizarrely, Mike had handed out these placards to day traders walking by, and this is in 1999. One of them said, Trump for President 2000.
Get out of here.
So we were Nostradamus-like, so I apologize. We may share some responsibility for that. So
that was a manifestation, Tom.
It may have been a manifestation.
Oh, my God.
It may have been a manifestation. So we're playing on the federal steps. It's going great. Then Mike says, now we're going to go down to the city sidewalk. The unpermitted city sidewalk. So we go down there, we're miming along, the speakers are rolling, and a New York City police sergeant comes up to me and says, you can't play here, you have to get back up on the steps now. But I remember what Mike said. He said, no matter what happens, don't stop playing.
Right.
So I continue to play. And now he recognizes that I've heard him.
Yes.
And I'm not doing the thing that he asked me to do. And so he's like, get back on the steps right now. Back on the steps. Everybody on the steps. Now he's pissed. The vein comes. Cop vein. There's a cop vein that shows on the neck comes out.
But you can see the pulse happening.
You can see the pulse. And I'm clearly defying him. And we are playing when he's saying not to play. And so he reaches down and he unplugs my guitar. And of course, the music does not stop.
That's fantastic.
And he recoils with a slow horror of someone who's like in the presence of a warlock. And he unplugs Timmy's bass.
Nothing's
and
happening.
He can't believe what's happened. Like it's like physics. It's like when Aborigines first saw fire or something. Like he can't believe what's happening. He takes the drummer's sticks from him, and it's as loud as it ever was. And the look on his face, he just can't make sense of what's happening in the world. So he arrests Michael Moore. You're kidding. He puts the director in handcuffs and leads him away. And as he's leading him away, Mike has one last directorial edict. Over his shoulder, he yells, take the New York Stock Exchange. And so we go, well, I mean, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, right,
So
right.
We put down our guitars, which are still playing.
Yeah.
And I walk through the door of the New York Stock Exchange on a Tuesday afternoon, and this is all in the video for Sleeping Down on the Fire. It's all in the video. And the security guard, the guy in an ill-fitting suit, says, "May I help you?" I said, "I'm here to take the New York Stock Exchange. Is that a left or a right?" So he calls, security, and riot police come, and they shut the whole thing down. They pull the riot doors, and we're pushed out onto the street. And for the only time in the entire history of the New York Stock Exchange, capitalism ground to a halt on a Tuesday afternoon, thanks to Michael Moore.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Wow,
Nice.
Tom, what an amazing story.
Which they now refer to as a running man. That event.
That's never gonna happen. All right, so the album is Tom Morello, The Atlas Underground. Tom, socially, you can be, or social media.
TomMorello.com is where you can find all that stuff about the record. I'm on all the social media stuff. Should we listen to one more song, or we got time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's listen to one song and then we're out. What's the
Okay,
song?
let's listen to Rabbit's Revenge. This is Bass Nectar, Big Boy, and Killer Mike.
Oh, great.
Together forever.
All right, we'll be right back.